How would you like to overcome trauma? In today's episode, Alex Martin B will tell us how to overcome trauma with quantum clarity hypnosis. And what's so special about Alex is he's a quantum healer and author specialized in quantum clarity hypnosis, a modality developed after hundreds of client journeys. And he says that it's a safe, natural, powerful way to connect directly with the higher self for healing insight and transformation. So I am always very curious about more ways to overcome trauma. And I would like you to tell us first, what are the root causes of trauma and what can someone do to overcome trauma?
AI Superwoman podcast with Lily Patrascu shares the world's most innovative AI tools and processes to go from technophobe to AI pro, attract leads, close sales, automate your business, enhance productivity, and deploy AI agents to do your work.
Good day. Thank you for having me. Trauma is just memory and also energetic imprint in many layers from some very uncomfortable experience. And when I work with higher selves, and the person is in a deep trance, and they are describing how higher self is healing the trauma, they see the trauma and the suppressed emotions and false beliefs and the memories as energy, different color energy in different layers, and they see how it's being removed when they are in this deep trance, this expanded awareness. So it's energy. It's energy that is stuck in the system and then creates all kinds of symptoms. You know, it can be mental symptoms, physical symptoms, and root causes of trauma is just being in this world. This world is traumatic.
Thank you. Who can attest to the fact that, let's say, once the process of hypnosis completed, how does one know that the traumas are actually healed? Because I think that we are continuously getting more trauma. Every time, let's say, a coworker comes and says, "Oh, you didn't do this well enough," or your husband says, "Oh, this woman is more good looking than you," and your parents say, "Oh, you're too fat," or you know what I mean? Like you're in this ongoing battle of receiving trauma. And so I'm wondering about, first of all, like how many of the potentially tens of thousands of traumas that you may have imprinted in your subconscious mind and your body, how many of those can be removed, and how does one know that they are on their path to healing?
All of it can be removed. All of it is energy and can be transformed, pulled out. I saw it. I witnessed it in over 1,000 sessions. I had people who were suicidal, depressed, alcoholics, which workaholics. All of these are just coping mechanisms to escape from suppressed emotions. So you are right that in everyday life you have all these factors around you. It can be accident, it can be a toxic person always criticizing you. So the healing process is about raising the consciousness level or frequency or vibration of your consciousness level. Because when somebody is telling you something, it triggers you. The trigger is actually a symptom of still not being completely healed, still being in the low vibration. So I am working with the framework of Dr. David Hawkins that created a whole knowledge about scale of consciousness and that you can actually measure it. So people who I worked with, and we worked on childhood trauma, sexual trauma, past life trauma when they died suddenly in the war or in the accident, in the fire. So all of this was imprinted and still inside the system. After we removed it, the symptoms of, for example, alcoholism. One person I remember few weeks or months after the session, she wrote me on my Facebook post that just after the session, she is sober. From the time of the session, after we finished, she just has no need for alcohol anymore. And she was alcoholic over 10 years. It was difficult to give up because we removed the root causes, why she needed alcohol, why she needed to escape. So, about the triggers. If you have any trigger from, as you mentioned, somebody is unkind to you, something happened, and you have stress, and you have... These triggers are showing you that you need still to let go, heal it. It's about letting go of the past in any form. Just take the lessons, what you learned, and let everything, all the other baggage go. They are like heavy energies. And there are different forms how to let it go. You can do it yourself, and sometimes we have blind spots. Sometimes we have energies, memories that is difficult to let go. That's why we need assistance. And like me, that I am helping you to go very deep into a state, theta brainwave state, in which you can remember whatever you happened and you can release it. Not only in this life, other lives, and also you can be aware of other energies that are affecting you, external energies.
Thank you. You said that when you are in a low vibration, you get triggered more often. Does that mean that when you heal certain traumas, you don't get triggered anymore when your husband says, oh, this other woman is more good looking than you, or some other unkind comment that your coworker made?
Yes. When you are in high vibration, because everybody in the essence, everybody is a soul, a pure light, love, spark of the God source. This is our essence. This is who we are. But when we are in a human experience, we are wearing this human costume, the body, and all these layers of energy bodies. Depending on our actions, reactions, how we live our lives, it affects this costume and this energetical layers, our mind. So the lower vibration you are, that means that you are having like a lot of heavy energies on you. You can imagine yourself like a balloon like for travel, like it was in 19th century. People were traveling in the balloon. And this balloon, if it has a lot of ballast or sandbags on it, it cannot fly. It is just on the ground, stuck, doesn't move. So the healing is releasing these sandbags, and these sandbags are your false beliefs, your suppressed emotions, your wounds, energetical wounds. And when you heal, you release, it takes time, it's a process. You release it, drop it away, let go. You are up, cruising closer and closer to your original consciousness of pure love, joy, and peace. And then when somebody is unkind to you, you understand this person. You understand that what this person says or does doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not about you at all. It's this person's problem. This person is unhealed, and this person has this problem, and you just don't accept it. Whatever they say, you just say, well, this is your perception. You are projecting something. This is your opinion. It's not true. So, for example, the teaching of Jesus, love your enemy. This is very high, very advanced teaching for people that are on the very high vibration, that you are able to understand and love your enemy. Doesn't mean that you hug them or you live with them. You just love them, accept them as they are. You know they don't know any better. You just know that everybody plays a role. They may not know it, but perhaps they were playing a role for you to learn how to set up boundaries, how to forgive, how to let go. This whole planet, this whole experience is for learning purposes. Everything is working as intended. Everything is as it should. You can imagine like all the people, all the things around you are like props or decoration in the movie. You are starring in this movie, and this movie is educational. It's for your growth, your evolution as a soul. And you chose to come here. Nobody forced you to come here. What I'm sharing with you, this is important. What I'm sharing with you is what I learned over 1,000 sessions from higher selves speaking through my clients or beings of light. And no matter who was the client, it could be somebody from New Zealand, from India, from USA, no matter their background, their belief system, when they enter into the deep trance, the higher self describes the same reality, how everything works. And I'm now sharing this. Now I'm going on podcasts. Soon I will be starting my own podcast to share this knowledge that comes from the sessions.
Thank you. So imagine, let's say I have 10,000 traumas from, I don't know what if that sounds like a reasonable number that a normal person would have. But let's say that I have 10,000 traumas. How many traumas can be released in one session?
Mm-hmm. So when I am doing the session, I am always asking the higher self of the person to guide the session. I am like an assistant of the higher self. Higher self is a total soul that the human person is a part of. And this total soul knows everything about everything. And they are outside of this drama, outside of this 3D time-space continuum. So they see completely with clarity everything. And they know how much the human system can endure the change in one session. So they are when I see how they work very wisely, very gently, very kindly, with love. And they know every person is different and every person has different amount of layers. So for example, to give you an example, usually my session is 4 hours divided in 2. 4 hours therapy, wellness, and why I divided it in 2? Because it's so intensive, some people couldn't continue after 2 hours. It was so much. So the higher self said, okay, we will finish for now because she or he needs to integrate this reshuffle. This is like a surgery, energetical spiritual surgery. And depending on how severe or how much suffering was there, to now release, let go. Usually after these 4 hours, it's not only about releasing and cleansing, it's also about higher self giving advice, giving tools to the person, how to move forward, how to continue healing. So in my work, usually this one session is so profound, so helpful, that the person then goes and continues with the advice of the higher self. And the advice could be something about, let's say, start meditating, change your diet, forgive this person. For example, in one case recently, a young man didn't have contact with his mother for 8 years. And in the session, because he felt hurt by her not being available, creating a lot of trauma for him. But in the session, he met higher self of his mother and felt really the love that the mother did all of it because she didn't know any better. She made it out of love, but also mixed with ignorance. That she wasn't empathic. She didn't know how it affected him. So he was crying from love, He was crying from forgiveness. He told her, I love you. And the higher self told him after the session, call her and tell her that you love her and you want to meet and, resume the relationship. It will be healing for him. So this was his case, not everybody, this is not for everybody. Some mothers are not to be contacted because they are too toxic, they will not change. It will not help in any way. So it's not general advice for everybody. But just an example in this case. So yourself knows that we chose challenges and lessons in this lifetime. This is all that we wanted. And part of this challenge is amnesia. We cannot remember it. Otherwise, it would not be a challenge. So we forget who we are. We dive into darkness, into dark families, low vibrational environments. And then, after experiencing that, we need to let it go and start the chapter of healing, start the chapter of coming back to our original essence. And this is what I am helping people with, that people who are awakened, people who are more aware, they know I need now to let go of all this stuff that I accumulated.
Thank you. Tell me what someone can do that doesn't necessarily have access to a therapist or a hypnotherapist like you. Is there anything an entrepreneur can do to overcome trauma, to self-heal? Is there like a book or some sort of information that they can leverage for them to do it themselves?
Yes. So I mentioned Dr. David Hawkins. He was a psychiatrist, and then he evolved. He had one time he had most successful clinic in New York, thousands of patients, and then he evolved and he became, because of his experiences, he became a mystic and spiritual teacher. So then he used all this knowledge combined, and he created a method of letting go. And he wrote a book called Letting Go, A Pathway of Surrender. And it's a self-help book. You just need to use it in every situation where there is a trigger. And there is a very simple technique, but you need to remember to do it. And when you do this, layer after layer, you will be more and more healed, more and more higher and higher vibration.
Thank you. How does that compare to the method of hypnotherapy that you have created? Is the quantum clarity hypnosis a method that produces results a lot faster?
Of course. I had clients who they were 60, 50, and they tried all kinds of things. Like they even went to Peru for ayahuasca. They went to special, high-paid retreats, group retreats with Tony Robinson or, known, famous gurus in all kinds of vibration. You have from lower vibration to highest vibration, you have all kinds of types of retreats and help. And they said after this session, they now have complete picture. The higher self showed her the complete picture, that all the puzzle pieces they gathered about themselves, what is their mission, what are their abilities, what are the blockages. Now they completely understand how everything is one picture, that all these experiences that they learned was just few lessons that they wanted to learn. So for example, if somebody wanted to learn a lesson during this lifetime of speaking your truth, they will have repeatedly the same situations and the same people coming up that will challenge that they will need to make effort to speak their truth, not being squished. So people, higher self show them the patterns, repeating patterns. Why they were repeating? Because they were failing the lesson. So the new similar situations were showing up. The same, for example, a lot of people told me I had several partners, and they were exactly like, they were the same, similar energy. After I get to know them, the same lessons appeared, the same challenges appeared, until I learned the lesson, and then the pattern changed and I had different relationships.
Thank you. Tell us why we all sort of like fail to learn the lesson for a really long time. So, for example, like in my case, my dad divorced my mom when I was 3, and then she remarried, and she also had some boyfriends in between, and they all beat her up. And I thought that was quite traumatic. But what I thought was quite interesting was that I had like a long-term relationship with an emotionally unavailable person that hardly spoke. And then I think I tried to have a relationship with some people that were not quite available, or who would like betray me, or sleep with other women. And then I would find this out, and it was quite devastating. And then I had a long-term relationship with a guy that was nothing like that. He was incredibly supportive and amazing and everything. But one thing I noticed as a pattern only recently is that he interrupted me a lot. Like every time I wanted to speak, he wouldn't like let me get a sentence in because he had his own thing that he wanted to say. And then I noticed the same thing of my mother. Like she also interrupts me. And I'm wondering like how that all of that is kind of like connected. What lesson am I failing to kind of like remember? Because the thing that I'm noticing is there are, so many people that are not appreciating me. And then there's, I guess, just my ex-boyfriend and my mother that doesn't let me speak. Um, and but in the whole thing of I do think that everybody loved me, but I think these lessons of being underappreciated, not being allowed to speak, are something that keep coming up. And I also am struggling to speak. Like I've had sore throat and cough and migraine for the last 10 years, and even now it's hard to speak because I have it again. So I'm wondering, like, what makes someone unable to actually learn their lesson? Is it that they are just unhealed, so they have to go through this clarity hypnosis method, and that's the reason why? Is there no other way that they could actually learn the lesson? What makes us so unawakened? Is it that we are unawakened or unhealed? That's the thing that kind of makes us continuously make the same mistake over and over.
There are infinite ways, a lot of ways how to gain clarity. I am just one of many. Everybody has access to their higher self, to the wisdom, to all the knowledge. But the false beliefs, the environment, the schools, the religion, they tell you, no, you don't have any access to anything. You need us. No, if you intend in meditation, use any type of meditation you like. It can be meditation in movement. It doesn't have to be sitting. In nature, you are going and just talking with your higher self, receiving information. Higher self is your intuition. So your intuition is always there, guiding you. The problem is that we don't hear. So when we do the deep trance and the mind is not interfering anymore, because inside you have two voices. One is your mind and one is your higher self. And the mind is always talking, always criticizing, always negative. So when you calm down and you can hear your intuition telling you guidance, telling you how to move forward. So that's why after the session, the person doesn't need another session, because the higher self will tell them how to connect with this all-knowingness within. So why we are failing the lessons? Because we are listening to our minds. You are not your mind, you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings. These are all your coverings, part of the human costume. Unfortunately, this education is missing in the society, that you are not your mind, you are not your body, you are a soul having a human experience. So people identify with the thoughts. When you think, for example, some idea appears in your mind, you think, oh, this is my idea. And the mind always wants to be right. The mind has so many propensities. Other thing is to blame anybody, never to apologize, and so much many more that are just destructive until the mind is also cleansed, healed. So answering your question is, we fail at the lessons because we follow the silly ideas from the mind that are ego-based, not rooted in reality, not rooted in truth.
Thank you. How do we not confuse the intuition with the mind thoughts? How do we know which is which?
It takes practice. But basically, I can tell you that mind is the voice that always talking, always having opinion about anything, judging, analyzing, overthinking, criticizing yourself and others, worrying about the future, having guilt and shame about the past, never in the present. So, neurotic, full of fear, full of low vibrational energies, emotions like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. All of these are low vibrational energies, and these are coming from the mind. On the other hand, the higher self voice is loving, is expansive, is encouraging, is supportive, wise, and quiet, not speaking so much. So, for example, a lot of people told me, and from my experience too, you meet somebody for the first time and you have the feeling about the person in your heart that something is off, something is not right with this person, but your mind is against the intuition. So your mind overthinking is dismissing. Your mind is dismissing and fighting against the intuition. And usually people think, oh, this is my thoughts, this is who am I? These thoughts are, it's I. And they are following the thoughts instead of intuition. And they later, so let's say that the person is, they get romantically involved, and they, after a few years, they have kids, and then she discovers that he's a covert narcissistic person. And the intuition told you in 5 first seconds that you meet him. If you would listen, you would not have now all these problems, and all this trauma. So when higher self is speaking to the people, they usually say, she or he got into this mess, he got stuck or she got stuck because she didn't listen to us. We gave her a lot of guidance, a lot of information, but she or he didn't listen. So if you listen to your intuition, you will go through your challenges and lessons in life very smoothly.
Thank you. Why is it so hard to heal trauma with conscious thought alone?
Because it's deep. The thought has frequency. Your mind or will has usual power. And the energy of trauma is much more powerful and deeper than you can access and will away. So it's a question of power and depth or accessibility.
Thank you. Tell us, how does hypnosis help access parts of the mind that traditional talk therapy might not reach?
Well, I had a lot of clients who went to talk therapy for years, and although the only positive thing was that when they were talking, they were crying and having somebody to listen to them, and that's all. But there was no change in the symptoms. It was just a temporary relief because it's on the same surface level. It's on the level of this, like we are talking now. This is beta brainwave level, which is, overthinking and surface consciousness. But the trauma and problems and root causes of symptoms are on the subconscious level or even spiritual level. The soul is involved. So you need to work with that in an expanded state, a deeper state. It can be a deep meditation, it can be deep contemplation, deep prayer, Or hypnosis. Hypnosis is actually misunderstood. The label hypnosis is usually people think about hypnosis as clinical hypnosis, where a hypnotist will talk for an hour to a person lying on the couch. Or, for example, person comes and they want to quit smoking. And the hypnotist will talk to the person relaxing on the couch for an hour in different ways that smoking is bad, trying to convince their subconscious. But it doesn't work so much. It's better. It's better than only talk therapy because there is some success rate. But what I am doing is actually, it looks like hypnosis, but actually it's a shamanic practice. I am not speaking so much during the session. The client in the trance is speaking mostly what they are experiencing, what they are feeling. I am just assisting them to go through this, to release, to let go, to understand. So the person who is in this deep state, they are aware of things that they were not aware in the normal state like we are now. For example, a person had, the lady in 40s, she had a trauma and she had like a deformed skull. And she had like trauma of her father. She was afraid of her father and she didn't remember why. What happened? Because her father was always very loving. And in the session, the higher self showed her what happened. When she was 2 or 3, her father was under influence of alcohol and started touching her. And she was fighting with that. And father got so angry that she threw her against the wall. And she was bleeding, was complete trauma. And what she remembered consciously is that the father is holding her in his arms and crying, and she is bloody on the face. This is what she remembered. She didn't remember before that. And when she remembered it in the session, she could release it. It was locked. It was hidden because the mind hid it because of the self-preservation, survival. Otherwise, she could got crazy because of this. Now she was ready. The higher self arranged the session. All the sessions are arranged by the higher self. And she was ready to heal it after all the healing that she did before. So after she healed it, she could forgive her father, she could forgive herself for not knowing any better. It was just a challenge, a big challenge.
Thank you. Tell me, how does trauma get stored in the subconscious mind or the body's energy field? The reason I ask you this is that I find, for example, that I'm very much affected here in my like I've been having this sore throat and migraine and cough, and I'm wondering whether there's any relationship between the trauma that I've had, where, for example, when I was younger, my grandma used to beat me, and she used to basically threatened me that if I cried, she would beat me more. So that kind of like repressed my talking. So is there any relationship between that and what's being caused in terms of physical trauma? Is there a relation
Yes,
between
of course.
the physical and the emotional trauma?
Of course. Most of the physical symptoms are coming from the energy blockages. From Chinese medicine, from yogic knowledge, we know that in the same way like the body has nerves, has veins, in the same way we have an energy body, and this energy body has meridians, has chakras. They are real. I see them in my meditation, I feel them in my body, but it took a lot of practice to get there, to actually work with them. So when you have any type of trauma or suffering and you don't process it correctly, it gets stored and creates blockages. It's like a heavy energy that is, for example, your energy should flow everywhere, but if you here in your throat you have this shock from your grandma and it's stored here, the energy is not flowing, and it starts to affect the physical body, that this part is weak and prone to any problems. If you don't work with that, if you don't release it, it will start to be worse and worse, and for example start to affect your thyroid. And people that come to me with thyroid problems, it is always the same story. They don't speak their truth, they were suppressed, their expression was suppressed, and after we work with that and release that, the body could heal. Body can heal everything. So for example, cancer. I had a lot of people with cancer and they were dying, and after they released the root cause that created the blockage, energy blockage, and then it showed like a cancer, the body could heal it, because everybody has, tumor cells, but the body can fight them. If the tumor is growing, that means the body is weakened in this part because the life force is not flowing, because of the trauma, because of the negativity there.
Thank you. Tell me about how people's purpose in life. For example, for me, I feel like my purpose in life is to impact people with my voice. And how does that purpose in life connect with the thing that you actually have to heal? Because I find it really interesting that I need to heal my throat, and it's like if I don't, it's like my main purpose in life doesn't get achieved. How do the two things kind of like get combined?
Yes. So I witnessed how higher self is describing the purpose of lives, because it's almost everybody is asking their higher self, what is my purpose? And there are so many different purposes. For example, my understanding from higher self perspective is about mission. Like you have a mission to accomplish. It's besides your lessons, besides your challenges, you have a mission. So, for example, one person was an artist, singing, playing for people, giving people good feelings, healing people through his voice. And he tumbled down into alcoholism because he didn't work with his trauma. He was Irish, and in Ireland a lot of people drink, like in Poland. It's a way to cope. So he had a session because he got feeling stuck and lost in life. So we had a session and we removed the original traumas that forced him to drink. And after he stopped drinking, higher self told him that you need to sing and play for people. He was singing and drinking in restaurants because your voice, your energy, you are channeling high vibrational energy, and you are healing these people when they are listening to you. And when you are singing and you are really in it, you are in the present moment. You are connecting with the higher dimensions. So this is the relationship, and every person is different. But basically, this is my understanding.
Thank you. So, for example, let's say if someone had, I don't know, heart problems, then maybe if they were to heal that, they would find a way to touch the world with their heart, with the expression of their, I don't know, their storytelling or something. So there's always like a relationship between the thing you have to heal, the trauma that you have to heal, and the very gift that you came to bring to the world.
It can be like this, yes.
Okay, tell me what happens when someone enters a deep hypnotic or quantum state.
What happens? They feel very relaxed. The mind is calm. The mind is not chatting anymore. Mind is receptive. And they start to, in my sessions, I started to do a scan, energy scan, before we go any deeper. So they are already in the alpha brainwave state, which is relaxed. And in this state, they start to notice in their physical and energy bodies different blockages. For example, they can tell me, oh, I feel a pressure in my throat. Or they can tell me, I feel a movement in my shoulder. Or they can tell me, I see a cube, red cube in my third eye, for example. For me, these are blockages that we need to work on removing. And these are coming from some experiences. They did something that this blockage appeared. So this is the first stage. And then there is another stage where after we remove the blockages and they can perceive even deeper, I ask the higher self to take them to the most appropriate time and place where they need to learn something, resolve something, and let go of something to heal. It can be current life, it can be other lives. And then we are going one after another, and they are experiencing everything and describing to me everything. They feel, they release emotions. And then at the end, we are having a talk with the total soul, the higher self. And the person prepares 10 questions, maximum 10 questions, what they want to ask, they all-knowing higher self. And then the higher self uses the voice of the person. The person is stepping back and just observing while the higher self is answering their questions, giving them advice.
Thank you. So after the hypnosis, would you say that the effect is relatively immediate?
Yes, depending on what we are working with. For example, in case if somebody is suicidal or depressed or feeling stuck, after they wake up, they feel completely, they say, I never felt like this, like elated, full of light, full of positivity. Because during the session, it's not only about traumas, you also experience unity with everything. You experience unconditional love. You experience forgiveness. Sometimes you have to meet with your family members that passed away to resolve something. So this is like a mix of all kinds of emotions during the session, but all of them are uplifting and cleansing. So when the person comes back, they feel completely different than before, and still they have work to do. It's not the end of the life. They have still challenges to do. So when they give me feedback after a few months, 1 year, they say, we followed the higher self advice and my life changed. What was so difficult before now is so easy. I could change my job, I could start my business, I changed my toxic relationship, money starts coming, so it's like your external experience of your life is actually projection of your internal blockages, internal beliefs.
Thank you. So it's the quantum clarity hypnosis. It's not that you only can overcome trauma, but you also can potentially heal physical illness, because then the root cause of that illness is rooted in the emotional illness that you may have. And then is it that with time you start to heal, or is it that in some cases people have also healed from certain illnesses almost immediately?
Yes, but sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it takes time. To give you two opposite examples. One lady came to me because of the frozen shoulder, menopausal woman, and she had pain, she couldn't move it, and she needed it for life. She couldn't use it. So during the session, the higher self showed her that there is she described to me, like there is a red cloud of energy in my shoulder. So I asked her, so go closer, zoom in, and just tell me, how does it feel? What is it? Touch it. And she told me, this is anger. This is anger at my mother. And I asked her, are you willing to let go of it and forgive your mother? She didn't know any better. She did her best. And she said yes. So we released it, and I asked higher self to bring the most useful energy that she needs at this place. Healing energy, something that will be helping the body to heal. And after the session, she wake up and she said, oh, no pain, I can move, wow. So immediate. So this is example of immediate. The opposite example is a lady, 74 years old, osteoporosis. In the session, higher self showed her that osteoporosis was from her belief that nobody supports her, that she's unsupported in life. It started from her childhood, when her father was unavailable, spending his time outside of house, never supporting the mom or children, was completely uninterested in family. So she felt unsupported by her father, and it stuck for her whole life. It was deep. She was not aware of it. So during the session, she released it, and she saw it in many instances in her life, how she made a lot of not optimal choices because of this deep belief that she's not supported. She was begging for support. She was giving her power for support unnecessarily, because higher self showed her that she has a lot of loving people around her, and not only living people around her that love her, but also from other side, she saw her ancestors, her spirit guides, her angels, her higher self loving and just rooting for her, cheering her on to go through these challenges, ready to help. But she didn't ask. She never asked, because she had no awareness of them. So after the session, during the session, the higher self told her that now that this false belief was released, your body can heal osteoporosis, but you need to do your exercises, and also you need to walk at least half hour a day. And in 2 years, your bones will be healed. Your body can heal in 2 years. So this is other example.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
Well, I have a website, Clarity Hypnosis, one word, .eu, like Europe. And there, somebody can schedule a free half-hour consultation with me. We will be talking about the specific situation of a person, what they need help with. And also I have a book. Healing Soul Journeys, on Amazon worldwide, Kindle and paperback. So I'm also on YouTube. Some people wanted to share their recordings of their sessions, so uncut sessions are on my channel, and you can watch how I work.
Follow me for more AI productivity tools.